peace, and blessings to you. My name is Jere B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And so is this wonderful gentleman we are interviewing today. I mean, he is the consummate EntreMusician because as I read through his bio and looked up his background, he has done it all, is doing it all, and will continue to do it all. And he's going to teach us a lot today. His name is Vance Anderson. He's in Des Moines, Iowa, I believe. Is that right, Vance?
Actually, no, I'm in Miami.
Oh, you're in Miami.
Yeah.
The studio is in Des Moines.
The Pennies are in Des Moines. The band I manage are in Des Moines, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, my apologies.
No, not at all.
But Vance has a vast experience in the entertainment industry, and we're going to dive into all of that, learn as much as we can. But of course, before we do that, let's do this. As you know, all of our videos are sponsored by the wonderful people at Vocal. Vocal is the only beverage on the planet designed to soothe, refresh, and restore your voice. I just finished the bottle right here. So if you talk all day or sing all night, you got to get yourself some Vocal. Go to drinkvocal.com to learn more.
Drinkvocal.com. I like that.
Drinkvocal.com. I really did. I just finished that off. I do a ton of talking in my in my responsibilities, and I need it on a daily basis. But you should give some to the Pennies, man. They have a unique sound. So let's start off talking about them. Husband and wife duo, right?
Yeah.
And how long have you been working with them?
I started managing them in 2013. So Brian and Sarah Vanderpol are the Pennies. Brian I've known since he was 4 years old because he's the son of a very good friend of mine from the church I used to go to in Massachusetts. And as I continued my business around the world, every so often Brian would send me a message or he started playing and he would ask me what I thought and so on and so on. And we kept in touch through the years. And then, long story short, I worked for Tony Bennett for 20 years as his production manager, tour manager. I got sick in 2011 with a very rare blood disease and I had to have a stem cell transplant and all of that. It took me 2 years to learn to walk again and everything. And as I came out of that in 2013, Tony Bennett's management organization had to move on from me because I wasn't fit anymore. And on the very same week that they told me, say, sorry, I'm going to have to let you go, Brian called me and asked me if I would vet these two management companies because they wanted to get management and move on to the next level. And I prayed about it. And then I said, you know what, I'd like to manage it. And so there we go, 2013.
That's absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. Well, you have a vast storehouse of experience. Are you a musician yourself?
I started out at the age of 12. I joined a children's theater, and I was bitten by the bug immediately. Theater was my life, And then as life went on, through the age of 17, my girlfriend got pregnant, we got married. Theater didn't offer me any opportunities. I had to get a job, but I started playing drums. So from 17 to 27, 10 years, I played drums, 7 nights a week in all kinds of top 40 bands and working men's club bands and everything, and rock bands. And, and then in 1977, my band split up, and some friends of mine in Coventry, which is the Detroit of England, the Motor City of England, had just built their own little PA, and they had some dates. They asked me, can you come and help us drive the van? And so I went to help them, and that was that.
Wow.
Years and years of production and tour managing, things like that.
Amazing. Well, how did you mention Tony Bennett, the legendary Tony Bennett, before? How did you get started with him?
Jerry B., well, this is a story, man. So I had worked with many artists before Tony from a tour managing sound engineering point of view. I got to meet Barry Marshall from Martial Arts in England very early in my career. And Barry is, he promotes McCartney and Pink and all. He's the top guy. He's the promoter's promoter. But he had a company in England, and he took me on to look after a guitar trio, John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola, Piper de Lucia. And it was the three of them and me. And we toured the world. And so I worked for Barry, and I worked for a lot of jazz guys, Pat Metheny for years, and went to live in Brazil. And I worked with all these incredible Brazilian musicians and so on and so on. Came back to America, started working for David Byrne when he did the Ray Momo Band. He started his own record label, the Waka Bar, and we did the Ray Momo Band. And then there was a period of time after David for a year when my wife had gone back. She's from Brazil, had gone back to Brazil. Her visa had run out. She couldn't come back to America. My visa had run out. I couldn't leave the country.
Wow.
I had no money. And it was the same moment, Jere, when I had accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior in 86 on the day I got married. And so when you make a proclamation to be His, you know, it's not just a proclamation. You have to be it. Yeah, exactly.
What's up?
So during this time period, I believe the Lord took me to a place of brokenness before Him. So I could not get arrested for this year after David Byrne, unemployed, wife out of the country, not able to work. I mean, people used to call me to do their tours, and nobody was calling me. They wouldn't even answer my call. And then one day, my mother-in-law, who was a pastor in Brazil, called me and said, you know, I was praying today and God told me that you're going to get a job with Tony Bennett. And I said, yeah, right, you're nuts. So then every day she would call me from Brazil and say, have you got the job yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't got the job. There is no job, you know, and every day she would call me. So then this went on, and I'm condensing the story a little bit, but
all good.
One day a phone rang, and I picked up the phone, and I'm a man who's desperate by now, you know, and I picked up the phone, and this lady said, hi, this is Suzanne from Tony Bennett's office in New York. We want you to start. Can you come down and start working with Tony tomorrow? This was on a Wednesday.
I need to ask a question. So how did they know of you, other than the Lord's providence? Did they know of your work in the past?
No. Well, here's the thing. There's not many people like me who do everything. Tour managing, production managing, sound engineering, you name it. I'm a one-guy package. I'm a one-crew package.
Yeah.
And but I had met Danny Bennett in Boston, because he was looking for someone to mix sound for an artist that he managed at that time called Janet LaValle. And I met Danny in a club in Boston. You know, our meeting was very quick, and it was obvious that I wasn't right for her, and I never heard from him again. This was like during that year. This was earlier in that year of unemployment. Didn't think anything of it. And but then Tony had a bad time with his then engineer, and I guess they were going through resumes that they had in their drawer, and they came up with me, and they called me.
Wow.
And so Tony was performing at the Blue Note, 10th anniversary of the Blue Note. It was a Wednesday. They called me. They said, can you come down? I said, well, I can't come down tomorrow, but I'll be down Friday. And I got down Friday, and that was it. 20 years with Tony. And
amazing.
It was just at the moment he had just won his first Grammy for the Art of Excellence album.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined, and it was from that moment that his whole career really took off again. And you know, I worked with him on 15 of his Grammy award-winning albums, you know, coordinating production for all of those recordings. Amazing time.
Well, that's an extraordinary.
Extraordinary. And then I looked at my mother-in-law. Every time I looked at my mother-in-law, like, whoa, better watch out for this one.
prophetic voice.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, for those of you who are watching, Vance and I, this is our first conversation. We hooked up on LinkedIn, so I don't know him personally. Some of the people we've been blessed to interview here, I've had an opportunity to know them beforehand or have worked with them. This is one rare newbie, but already there's some interesting similarity. Drummer,
yeah,
man of God,
yeah,
deeply rooted in his faith,
yeah.
I haven't worked for Tony Bennett, so we can take that off the table.
But we're both immersed in music, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
one way and another. And I was just, wanted to tell you that I looked at everything that you're doing with the EntreMusician website and everything, and I'm very impressed, and I'm very thankful that there's somebody like you who is trying to direct people, to do things in a proper way and be focused and be, be forward looking and forward moving about it all. Because music is a great gift. It's one of the greatest gifts, I think, in the world. It soothes the savage beast in many ways. And it can be the most joyful thing, but you've got to stay focused on it. And now, in this world of music, everybody's making music. Everybody's got the ability to record in their own living room or whatever. Absolutely. And there's millions of tracks out there, millions of people trying to make it. And, it takes a lot of gift, a lot of talent, a lot of luck. If you want to use the word luck, you could say a lot of blessing, but, in the world, a lot of luck.
Sure.
And it's a hard business. It's a hard business. But it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never lets up, and you stay focused, and you just pursue every single avenue you possibly can and revel in the joy of creating art.
Boy, that's an incredible way of saying it. I've got a couple questions for you. First of all, and you're feeding me questions as you're talking, but what is your definition then, Vance, of making it? What would you call making it? What would you say that is?
Okay, well, for me, I spent more than 50 years touring with somebody or other from a production point of view and sound engineering and everything. And I've been very blessed to work with everybody I've ever worked with has been phenomenal at what they do. I can honestly tell you I have never had, a bad experience with the musicians I've worked with. And so I've seen many kinds of people making it in the business, success, financially, fame and fortune and all the rest of it. And my philosophy of management with the Well Pennies specifically is to be a manager that creates the platform for the artist to fully develop and be who they want to be. And so I'm not the money guy. I'm not the contracts guy. I will find team building. I will find people who are expertise is in all of that contractual stuff and everything. Like my passion and making it is that when you have an artist who is really fulfilling their gift, because I think a creative artist is gifted. I don't think it comes from them. You're born with it or you're not born with it, and you're born with it for a reason.
Sure.
And so for me, success and making it is the ability to write, to perform, to paint, to sculpt, whatever it is, and then to bring it to the attention of people and be appreciated.
Sure.
Whether that is financial appreciation or fame and all of that, or whether it's just you receive an email and people say, oh my God, I can't tell you, I listened to your song and it changed my whole attitude and I was so depressed, or, I was just looking at the trees and I heard, whatever that is. It sounds very hippie-ish, but that's really what it's at. That's success for me, And the Well Pennies are brilliant people.
Mm-hmm.
And both pastors' kids.
Are they?
Our music is gifted by God. It's not Christian music per se, but it's music that uplifts the spirit. It's
Absolutely.
Music that makes you feel good. And we get many emails, and so. Yeah, we're independent artists, fiercely independent.
Certainly.
Pursuing every avenue we can to expose the music and to lift people up. And we'd love to have that the Lumineers moment when the Lumineers, they had an album out for 3 years. It was out, and it was on a small record label, and they'd moved a few thousand, 3,000 or 4,000. And then one day a music supervisor heard it and put it on the first Hunger Games. And the next thing you know, 10 million albums sold and they're elevated to superstardom. So we're always looking for that moment.
Certainly.
But more importantly, to create the music they want to create and to put it out there and to expose people to it and see where it leads.
Now, are you there?
Did I answer your question?
That was perfect. No, that was absolutely perfect. I had another question to piggyback on that, but Earl Nightingale said that success is any person who is in pursuit of their profession or their art or their career. We could allow the world to put a limit or define us,
Right.
but if you're doing it,
Yeah.
and like you said, if you're doing it and you're focused and it's 24/7 and you're looking for any opportunity, it's
Right.
it's successful. You're successful because you're in pursuit of a worthy
Right.
goal, as he said. But what I wanted to ask you with respect to the well pennies is,
Mm.
do you manage them exclusively? Because we want to move into Golden Bear Records. Is
Mm.
that your studio? Is that your label? Or
Brian Vanderpol, is this incredible human being, married to another incredible human being, Sarah.
yeah,
And so Brian is this guy, man, who doesn't rest. He's always creating something. So they met at a coffee shop or an open mic night in Boston. They never met each other, but the suggestion was doing duets. And so they paired up, and from the moment they sang together, boom, that was it. They fell in love. They ran away from the East Coast and went to live in LA. They lived in LA for 7 years and, worked hard and lived in a little apartment in Pasadena and all of that. And after a while, LA is a very restrictive artistically. You wouldn't think so, but it's very cliquey. I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying
no, I
that's the way
understand.
it did.
Mhm.
And so it became pretty stifling. And we played the venues that you could play for that style of music. And we have a very good friend out there, Tony Green, who has a studio. He plays bass for us when we need bass. And his name's Tony Green. And he was a friend of Brian's father and I at the same church in Framingham, Massachusetts. He moved to LA. He built this incredible studio called Ear Gallery. And it's a studio built in his house up in Eagle Rock.
Mhm.
And so we had recorded the Endlings album there. But, at the end of the Endlings album, which came out in 2015, Brian and Sarah decided, no, we got to get out of here, because we just feel suffocated.
Mm.
And so they decided to move back to Sarah's hometown, Des Moines, Iowa. And lo and behold, when they got to Des Moines, Iowa, they found that it is one of the more artistically creative towns you've ever been to. I mean, you wouldn't, Des Moines, Iowa, middle of the Midwest, but it's incredible. And so they bought a house, and Brian refurbished the entire house, and he built a studio in the basement.
Mhm.
And I mean, he poured the concrete, he cut the wood, he, did everything and soldered the cables and everything, really everything. And we started recording there. I mean, we don't have a lot of gear, but what we have is very high quality because quality is important. And so it's his studio. Golden Bear Records is collectively the Well Pennies record label, whatever that means these days. It's a title more than anything.
Sure.
And so as an independent artist, you put your stuff out there in the world and you shove it out in this little estuary and it hits the massive flowing river of music, and it takes on a life of its own. So Golden Bear Records, Golden Bear Studio, it's the Well Pennies, and it's specifically Brian Vanderpol. He's unbelievable.
So who is Katie Jones?
Katie Jones is an artist from Boston, which is where Brian and Sarah met. So where Brian is from, Massachusetts. So Katie Jones was an artist that they heard, and they really liked something of hers, and she was looking to do this album, and so we made a little deal with her. No deal. It's like, come and record at Golden Bear Studios, and we'll put it out under the Golden Bear Records label.
Yeah.
And Vows was the name of the album, and off it went. So she was the first. I can't even say signing, but just affiliate.
Sure.
With Golden Bear Records. We, record companies.
Oh, come on.
Forget about it.
Right.
Our whole object in life is just to, is to be able to get good music and put it out there,
Absolutely.
And we don't have a marketing department, we don't have any of that. It's me and Brian and Sarah, basically.
Yeah.
And we do what we do, and in this world of internet and independence and blogging and, you know, all the rest of it, you know, licensing and all of this, you know, you just work as hard as you can in every direction you can, and hope that, you know, a door opens. You know?
Absolutely.
So Katie is the first affiliate with Golden Bear Records, and she's doing well. She's, you know, out doing gigs and singing and having fun, you know.
So are you sound engineer for the studio? I mean, do you fly out to Iowa? Oh, okay.
Brian,
gotcha.
Brian. He, you know, he plays the guitar and the banjo and the drums and everything. You know, he was at Berkeley, and he and Sarah is, you know, she plays guitar and banjo. She's a pianist. But we have what we call the Wellpenny filter. You know, Brian's all about the rhythm and the movement of the music. Sarah's all about lyrics. And when everything passes through the Wellpenny filter, when they both agree and are satisfied with something, then, you know, then it moves on. Combined, they're unbelievable. I mean, I have worked, as I said, 50 years in this business with some great artists. But these are great artists, and they're not jaded, and they don't have a, you know, they're not in it for any other reason other than just to do what they want to do, you know.
That's awesome.
And as a production manager, you know, you spend 12 hours of the day in building the platform. You load in at 7 in the morning, the lights, the sound, the staging, and everything like that. And, you know, you do the sound check, and then the band leaves, and you tweak the final things. When the doors open for the people to come in, the stage is a platform that is set to perfection for the artist. So when that artist hits that stage, he's able to fly.
Yeah.
You know, and that is what a good production manager is all about. And it's the same in management. You try to create a platform for the artist to fly. You know, that's what it's all about.
So that's a great segue, because with respect to most EntreMusicians and most people who tune into this channel, website, whatever you want to call it, this space, every one of us is like a Brian. We're doing it ourselves. You know,
right.
You started out the interview with someone has a space somewhere in their basement or attic or garage.
Right.
And we're engineering, and we're booking the gigs, and we're doing everything we can to do it. And so there was a time where it was expected that you would have a manager, just like there was a time it was expected you would have a record company, so to speak.
Right.
Those days are behind us, but there is an importance in building a team. So for the EntreMusician out there who wants to look into, why do I need a manager? Let's start with why you think an EntreMusician would need a manager. And using this context, let's begin with who you're not looking for. Let's start there.
Right. Well, and again, as I said to you before, my concept of management is about, it's all about the artist. It's all about the artist. So many managers, it's all about the manager. You know, and I have worked with a lot of very high level managers, and I wanted to sort of prove that a good manager doesn't have to be a nasty guy to be a good manager. So, but as I said to you before, I'm not the businessman. I build a team. Team building is vital. So you need somebody to enable, to field all that other stuff that's coming in, so that you as the artist can be in your studio and writing. You're not being troubled and hustled by all of the other stuff. I truly believe it's vitally important for an artist to know their business. You know, an artist really needs to know about their business, but you need to have people to field and fend off all of this distracting stuff, so that you as an artist can be creative. So that is vital. A manager must understand who he is and what his forte is, what his speciality is, and then find other, you know, excellent people to fill in the spaces that you're not good at. You know, contracts, because contracts, man, are so, you know, it's sort of like a spider's web. You fall in there, and you know, unless you know all the small print and all the rest of it, you're just going to get lost. You know, marketing. people who are experts in metadata and all of this tracking and all of this other stuff that goes on.
Sure.
So team building is vital. I always thought as a tour manager, you are nothing if you're a limo driver or the guy driving your band around isn't on time, it hasn't got his stuff together.
Correct.
Band doesn't get there, the show doesn't happen. It's That's all right. about the team. It's all about the team. So you have to surround yourself with people who are not going to get in your way, but who are going to give of themselves to provide the best service possible. You know, it's all about a servant's heart.
Yeah.
Management, production, crewing, whatever it all is. In life, you know, if you have a servant's heart and you're willing to give without demanding, you know, and I know my rights and all of that, then that's what it's about as far as I'm concerned.
That's absolutely excellent answer. Excellent. Now, so for the little tip on the business end of having a manager, what should they be expecting to pay out of their gross? Now, there was a time where it was 15, 20. Is that percent? Is that still the standard, or are there, you know, differing ways to?
Yeah, there's difference. It just depends. It just depends. In my dealings, you know, 10%, you know, that's all I asked. Because it seems like a righteous thing to ask for, you know. You're not being
like the tithe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
And so yeah, there are many people out there that what they want is to get the most out of you that they can get, because
Correct.
Their interest is themselves.
Correct.
And as I said to you, you know, several times now, my interest as a manager is to provide a platform for the artist to be the most creative they can possibly be. And I think if you allow the artist to be that creative, then, you know, your business is going to flow, and your remuneration or your gain as a manager will be more than enough. You know?
So I've done a video on the importance of an EntreMusician having a team. And so on your team, because I don't want them to think, well, Jere knows so much, but from an experienced manager, who do you have on your team?
Very few, because in the 6 years or whatever it is since I've been managing the Well Pennies, I have a fantastic lady in LA who takes care of my contracts, you know, agreements. Because one of the ways that we can make a little money and gain more exposure is through licensing our music to films and TV shows and commercials and stuff like that. And a music business lawyer, will cost you $500-600 an hour.
Sure.
And you can lose money so fast. So if there was like a major contract, if, for instance, we got into a position where we signed a major contract with some major company, then I would take that to a heavy-duty music business lawyer, because it's so intricate. But all the day-to-day little agreements that we make with, you know, with licensing companies and that kind of thing, I go to this lady. She doesn't charge me an arm and a leg. She's very thorough. She has passion for the music. So she's one of my vital pieces of the team. You know, licensing companies, there's millions of licensing companies now. You know, there's the big ones, the Sony the Warners, and all of these companies, which we've toyed with the idea of trying to be involved with. Then there's another grade of licensing people. Everybody's, you know, telling you that they can get you your music played on this and that. You know, but I found one licensing company that came to us early on, and he's been slow and steady, but he's got us on, you know, dozens of little TV shows and one thing and another. Some of the bigger stuff that's come to us has actually come by people listening to us on Spotify, funnily enough. And so, for me, I don't have a big team. I have this lady, I have me, and then I have a few advisors, people I know and trust in the business who are musicians themselves, or, you know, are agents or whatever, that are friends that are not booking the Well Pennies, but people who advise I trust. And so, yeah, somebody to really look after your agreements and your contract, and then just some selected people who you absolutely trust, you know, who have experience of various parts of the business. But trust is everything. Because you go to somebody and you ask advice, you don't want to be fed something that you have to, is that true? Is that not true? And the day and age that we're living in, where people proclaim that truth isn't truth anymore, you know, man, I mean, you know, so you need trusted people around you. So yeah, I know.
You're about to take me down a rabbit trail that
I know, brother. I'm sorry about that.
That'll be our next conversation.
Yeah,
okay?
All right. No problem. Yeah.
But so a team of people you trust is vital. Obviously, you want them to have a degree of expertise in their field that can absolutely help. But it doesn't have to be a big team where you're out, you know, thousands of dollars on a consulting end.
Right. And what you said there, you know, people of experience. You know, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and so you're right. You gain a lot of experience. You go through a lot of situations, you know. And as a tour manager, I could talk to you for hours about the art of tour managing, the psychology of tour managing.
Give us some vignettes on tour managing.
Well, the thing, all right, simple thing. 50%, let's say 50% of tour managing are the logistics. You know, getting from A to B, the hotels, the travel, the transportation, blah, blah, blah. The contracts, the payments, you know, all of that. Other 50%, and we could talk about the actual percentage, is finding the groove. Being in amongst the musicians and the people that you're with, and being able to smooth things and to move things and to groove things, because it's hard out on the road. You know, when you're out on the tour, even if it's just a 6-week tour or something like that, you're moving every day. You're moving. You got to get up early. You got to go. You get to the hotel. You drop your stuff. You go to sound check. You know, and it gets wearing. The first week of a tour is a nightmare because your body's not in the motion. Then you go into a period of just like you're in the groove. And then the last week of the tour, it can be a 12-week tour or a 6-week tour. The last week is always exhausting because now you're slogging to that final finishing post. You know? But you got to groove these people, man. The psychology of it. Major artists, you know, are very vulnerable. You know, they give of themselves to the audience. You can be on stage and, you know, thousands of people are adoring you and applauding you. And the next minute you're in an empty dressing room, you know, and the noises in your head can come in on you fast, you know. And so you've got to be able to lift people. That's my philosophy of tour management. There are many out there who don't have it, but I know from a fact from people who told me that I work with that they miss that, you know, finding the groove. That's the important thing. Oh.
That's pretty amazing. And, you know, I'm going to toss this in because at the beginning of our interview, you said you were a drummer. You started out as a drummer, and, you know, I'm not being narcissistic at all. Here's the thing that I found. I'm not. As a drummer and other drummers, I find that we are well-rounded people who can take on a myriad of different roles and kind of find that rhythm and find that groove. Other than, I'm not picking on piano players, but I think piano players make better artists and need things done for them where the drummer can come in and go from a production standpoint, a management standpoint, even publishing and distribution, because it's that rhythm. And once we find that, whatever hallway we're walking down, we can make it.
I agree with that. You know, I was never a great drummer. I had no time for paradiddles and all of that. I wasn't.
Hey, I play the drums, and sometimes the drums play me. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 70 years old, and so you know, the Beatles came out in '62, and I was hit by it. Somebody turned me on to Chuck Berry, and that rhythm there, you know, that was my heart. Yeah. I loved the Rolling Stones because, you know, Charlie and Ringo, of course, these were the two great influences on my life. And just that groove, just where you hit it, you know, It's not about being on the beat. It's just about where you place that beat. And
Correct.
And subsequently, I've worked with unbelievable drummers in my life. But yeah, man, drummers are a solid thing. They sit solid in there in the band, and they always provide that foundation, that everybody else needs.
Yeah. But I think that transcends, again, not putting them on the pedestal, but I think it transcends in life as well. Marcus Miller had said, as a bass player, I'm trying to think of who was playing with him at the time, and he said, I always call him into the studio to make sure, because he just has a sense of balance that I can't get from the other musicians when we're trying to mix it, because he just hears everything. It's where the drummer is placed.
Listen, as a sound engineer, man, there's only one place that instruments can be, and that's the right place.
That's right.
There's no other place. I was very privileged early in my mixing career to get with the guitar trio. These were three great guitar players: John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola, and Paco de Lucia, my heart. And so mixing that, I had two channels on John, DI and Mike. I had two channels on Al, DI and Mike. I had one channel on Paco because he played a Ramirez, Mike. I had two channels of reverb, and John insisted that I anticipate the improvising musician. So I don't know if you ever heard any of their stuff, but Friday Night in San Francisco was the big album they had live. And, I mean, they're going backwards and forwards, they're fighting and they're sparring with each other. And you have to be ahead of them because you have to ride it. You have to not miss a single thing. What's the guy soloing over here? What's this guy doing over here? And traveling with them as the tour manager, there were three of them in the car and me driving. And we toured all over the world. And by the time you got to the stage, you knew exactly what was going to happen because Paco had played a trick on Al, and Al was going to get him back. And so when they hit the stage, boy, and so being with them and anticipating and knowing what was going to happen, phenomenal.
Wow.
What a training. John McLaughlin, man, unbelievable.
That is absolutely awesome. Now, I was unable, unless I didn't do my homework correctly, I wasn't able to find a website, your dedicated website. It doesn't exist.
I don't have one. You can Google my name and you can find out, a lot of albums I've been involved in and everything like that. I work for Barry Marshall. I work for Concert Sound, which was a sound company that Barry was part owner of, and most of the guys were from Wales, the Welsh crew, unbelievable guys, and they're out mixing Clapton. One of my little protégés who came to work for Concert Sound is Paul Boothroyd, Pat. He mixes front of house for Paul McCartney and AC/DC and people. These guys, man, these guys are just ridiculous. They just had a passion for what they did. And so, we just got stuck in. And so, we just done a ton of stuff. We worked with all kinds of bands, And I did monitors for Adamant and for Hot Chocolate and everything. My first ever monitoring gig, 12 mixes for Earl and Hot Chocolate, Unbelievable.
Is that right?
So just, hundreds of bands. When you work for a sound company, you're doing all kinds of guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a website. I don't need to.
People don't reach you.
I know who I work for, And, now my guys are old. They're all in their late 60s and 70s now. Some have lost their hearing completely and had to retire and everything. But, some of the best people on the planet Earth, these guys,
What's the best way to keep your ears, Vance? I mean, you're...
No, man, I'm deaf.
Say it again? Say what?
That's a good one. Listen, my ears have suffered, but I know my ears. So when it comes to music, I can hear a lot more than I can hear in a conversation in a room. If you talk to my wife, she'll be very mad because she has to say things 3 or 4 times to me because I'm like, what? Did you hear what I said? No, I didn't. Terrible. So I think it depends on the person, I think what affects one person, obviously loud music. For me, rock and roll, the only way to listen to it is, with some punch. But I know sound engineers, man, who it's not about loud. If every instrument is in its place, it's just strong. It's not loud, it's just
Sure.
strong. But if you've got a guy mixing sound and the instruments aren't in the right place, for instance, the guitar is jarring with the sax player because they're in the same frequency and everything, that's loud. That's
Right.
That's ear split.
That's right.
But when everything's in its place, the bass in relation to the drum, the kick drum, for instance, they shouldn't be in the same frequency. They should be in different frequencies, and depending on who's playing and whatever, you find that place, and it's strong and it's powerful and it's uplifting, but it's not loud.
Yeah. I can dig it. Let me tell you a quick story about listening. So I've been married 24 years and beautiful, wonderful family, grateful. I have been in music forever, and my mom told my wife when we were dating, you won't have to worry about Jere being unfaithful to you. You'll have to worry about him being with the music, because that's his right. So I'm married 3 years. I have a little studio upstairs in our Cape Cod home, and I'm trying to get this hi-hat just right, the feel of it right on point, right? And so my wife is downstairs or wherever she is in the house, but she, I'm playing back this recurring pattern. She comes and she knocks on the door, Vance, and she says, I wish you would listen to me like that.
Yeah, baby.
Floored me. So listening, ears, but also heart in making it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I absolutely, positively have enjoyed my opportunity to sit with you and learn so much. This is going to be one of the hallmark interviews that we do, and I trust and pray that we'll have some more conversations via LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'm very happy to know you. I was looking at some of the stuff you've got coming up. You've got some good stuff coming up. You're involved in some nice things, and I think it's wonderful. I hope that we talk often.
We shall do it not only off camera, but I hope in some opportunities for me to interview the Well Pennies and bring them on. And
you love them. You love them.
Well, I love their music. I mean, Ooh La La, I know that was the one that they were pushing, but that has, that just seeps into your spirit. And it takes about 3 seconds. Boom, there it is. And it's like, I know I'm in a different place.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, they got some good stuff.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. Was there a question you thought that you wanted me to ask that I should ask and I didn't ask it? You could answer that right now.
I don't think so. I just love talking about music. I love being involved in the creative art in whatever level. I love painters. One of the great things about Tony Bennett, well, there's many great things about Tony. Ultra gifted, not just as a great singer, but he's a great painter. And so working with Tony as a tour manager took me into every single area of entertainment that you could possibly imagine. He wrote books. We did the whole thing with books. He painted. We went to all kinds of art galleries. I got to hang out with great painters. David Hockney, who's somebody I really love, from Yorkshire, in the north of England, where my grandparents are from, and I'm very familiar with that. David is right now the premier painter. I mean, his stuff is selling for $80-100 million now, whilst he's alive. Van Gogh is my boy, and so just to be involved in all kinds of creativity is everything. The joy of being involved in creativity is everything. So I love to talk about it. I love to be amongst it. I love to hear it, watch it. For me, it's just everything. I was a terrible student. I was useless academic. I failed at all my exams, and I was basically thrown out, and all I wanted was, to be, I didn't know what I wanted, but one of the things you should tell you guys, and I don't know if it still works today, because now everybody goes to school to learn how to mix sound, but in my day, it was like, hey, I need someone to do this. Can you do it? Yeah, I can do it. Even though you'd never done it before, you just jump right in. And
that's right.
And so I lived I started out in this really golden time of just jumping right in there. And there's a lot to be said about that. Yes, you must learn. Yes, you must hone your skills. You must learn everything you can about the technicalities of it. But you've got to be that guy, that person, that girl, whatever, to have the passion to leap in there and just take it on. because you learn so much just by doing it, making mistakes, learning not to make that mistake again, and so on and so on. This is vital. I think it's called passion for what you do. You know?
It is. I mean, I value those, and I work with some musicians who've gone to Berkeley and Full Sail and some of the other wonderful institutions, the New School in New York, you know, and I'm just this guy.
Right.
The interesting thing that I find is, like, we work with some great singers here in Ohio, but from time to time, I'm in the studio directing them how to sing, because they have the instrument, they have the voice, but there's another layer there of delivering that, of making sure that that record is strong. And do I believe you? You sang the right note, you were in key, but I didn't believe you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I have 3 granddaughters, and my eldest granddaughter, Kelsey, graduated out of Berkeley as a singer, and she's doing some amazing stuff now. She's 28, and she's actually down on Cape Cod at the moment in a little studio down there doing some work. And she when she was young, she was always doing ballet and this and that as she grew up. And then when she was like 15, 16 at school, she started writing these incredible songs, you know, and she wrote some amazing songs. And then she went to college. It didn't really work out. She got slung out of there. She went to Berkeley, and she went through that whole Berkeley thing, and she learned a lot, you know, there. And I always told her, hey, baby, don't let all this knowledge swamp the gift. Yeah. You know, you've got to find how to bring it all together, because the gift is really the important thing. You know?
It was George Clinton who said, don't learn too much. And he knew nothing but years and years, decades of, you know.
Yeah. Well, you love the funk thing, don't you? And I mean, I
love
you
the
know,
funk.
God Almighty, man, you know, who doesn't? I got to be a drum tech for Dennis Davis when he played with Stevie, Hotter Than July tour. We did 7 nights at Wembley Arena, and I was a drum tech for him, and his drum rides were 18 feet in the air.
Oh,
it was like in the center, and everybody would enter the stage underneath the drum ride. And I had these ladders, man. I used to go up and stick my head up above, you know, and I had the monitors of the guitar players who were up on the next level down, and listening to Stevie, all that. Oh God, unbelievable! That was ultimate fun. Ultimate fun. Hotter than
Absolutely. Pray for Stevie. He's having some health issues.
I know.
You know,
lovely man. Lovely man.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you something. So when we did this, you got time?
I do.
So when we did this, we had all this rehearsals in Wembley Stadium, and Stevie hadn't been there anyway. The band was there. We rehearsed the band and everything, and this went on for several days. And then opening night, Stevie arrives. He lands, gets into a car. The car comes from the airport straight to the stage. He gets out of the car. He walked up the side of the stage right side towards the center. I press myself in because the entrance onto the stage is to my right. My ladders are right there. So I press myself in. And as he walks past me to enter, he hands me this cup. I mean, I wasn't breathing. As he walked past me, he handed me this cup of water and walked through. Blew my mind, you know, blew my mind.
Wow.
This man, he was a very sensitive man.
Sure.
And subsequently, we did quite a few things with Stevie, with Tony, and everything. But there was an exceptionally talented, gifted man, and a Christian brother. You know, a man who loves the Lord, and
absolutely,
really phenomenal. Yeah, we keep him in prayer, definitely.
Yeah, his art has just penetrated and transformed culture, which any good musician with a positive spirit should do.
Yeah, absolutely. Must do. Has to do. Especially in today, you know.
That's right.
Claiming to be the second coming. You know, man, time is now. Time is now to stand up and be counted for who you are, you know. That's what it is. That's where it's at. I'm not going to take you down that rabbit hole again.
We have to do one. We have to do one on that. We have to do another interview on that. Okay? Because music is sacred. And I can tell you this, and that, so listeners, viewers, just deal with this because we're kind of vibing right now. Right. The interview formally may be over, but we're kind of vibing on the sense that when I was at my worst, man, when I wasn't walking with the Lord, and I was in studios, and this is 91, 92, hip hop, and the whole evil of the language and just the spirit of it all. I had been raised in the church. I left the Lord when I was 16, didn't return until I was 28. So I'm 21, 22. And I had this fear. I'm the engineer. I'm recording. All of this is coming through the speakers, and I'm in my spirit. I know this is not right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting high. All that stuff is happening, but the music to me was so sacred that we can't taint it with all of that. And then I became, when the Lord saved me, I became a youth pastor, and we began talking with the youth about the spirit of the music. Because there is a spirit there, and okay, here we go, because I got to go down there. The enemy, he being once upon a time worship leader, once upon eternity, and he knows how to drop the tempo right to your heartbeat, to use the rhythms and the keys and the chord structure, so that is so magnet to you that most of the kids are like, well, I just love it for the music. No, the music is the bait, but at the same time, those lyrics, that death, that's murder, that's being, because your gate is open. All of that poison to jump in there. Sorry.
No, I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Yeah, you're right on, brother. You're right on.
So our
Jere
heart,
B, ladies and gentlemen, Jere B.
Oh, this is Vance Anderson. Our heart, however, is to take that sacredness of music, and with the best production, with the best writing, with the best presentation of how we can present it to you, to say, there is a better way. There is a better way. And here's a perspective you might want to consider. Because with Sound Doctrine, our band, with my own solo stuff that I'm coming out with, I never come with a sledgehammer. I come with a fishing pole.
Right. Draw you in.
That's all. All right. I'm done.
Good. It's been my pleasure, Jere. It really has. And hopefully this is the first of many conversations you and I will have.
It shall be. It shall be. Well, peace and blessings to you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is Jere B. I'm the EntreMusician. That's Vance Anderson, who has worked with, as you heard it, everybody. He is the consummate EntreMusician. We're proud to have him as the EntreMusician of the month. Grateful. Look for more interviews with Vance. Peace and blessings to you, my friend.
Blessings to you too, my brother. Bless you.
We'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.